Are we just weeks away from the return of the Messiah? This is SkyWatchTV News for Monday, July 6, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. A leading Jewish rabbi says the return of Messiah is imminent. Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, a leading authority in ultra-Orthodox Judaism, is advising his followers to make Aliyah, that's move to Israel, as soon as possible. In fact, one unconfirmed report says that a rabbi went to Rabbi Kanievsky for his approval for a soon-to-be-published book of Lamentations, which are read annually on Tisha B'Av. According to the report, Rabbi Kanievsky said the book wouldn't be necessary this year. There's a belief in Judaism that the day of fasting and lamentations will transform into a day of feasting and celebration upon the Messiah's return. And in 2015, Tisha B'Av falls on July 25th and 26th. So does this mean that Rabbi Kanievsky actually believes in the second coming of Jesus Christ in less than 3 weeks? That's the big question. Now, this is a topic that gets a lot of attention in Christian prophetic circles, especially since the popularity of the video, The Rabbi Who Found Messiah, about the late Rabbi Kaduri, who died in 2006. It's claimed that a note found after his death revealed that Rabbi Kaduri had been shown that Messiah would return after the death of Ariel Sharon, the former Israeli prime minister who died in January of last year after a long period in a coma. He also was told, according to this note, that the Messiah's name would be Yehoshua, Joshua, Jesus. Now, I don't know what was in Rabbi Kaduri's heart, just as I don't know what's in Rabbi Kanievsky's heart. I just advise caution when looking at prophecies like this. Remember, the Jewish leaders of Jesus' day didn't recognize him as Messiah because they were looking for a different type of Messiah, a political Messiah who would restore Israel's political fortunes. What are the views of scholarly rabbis today? I don't know. I'm not well informed on that topic. But again, I would be cautious. For example, Rabbi Kaduri was a leading Kabbalist. He was a practitioner of mystical Judaism and renowned for his skill in writing amulets. Amulets with the power to bring success, health, or change reality in a positive way in some other form. And in Kabbalistic thought, these amulets are thought to tap the power of demons or spirits to perform miracles. It doesn't take much reading of the Old Testament to find out what God thinks about that type of behavior. And it's the same appeal of this mysticism that brought celebrities like Madonna and Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore and others, Roseanne Barr, to embrace Kabbalah, propelled Rabbi Kaduri to worldwide fame. Over 300,000 people attended his funeral in Jerusalem in 2006. So again, I don't know what was in his heart at the time of his passing. Don't know what's in Rabbi Kanievsky's heart. Just a reminder that any prophetic claim like this has to be compared against prophecy in the Bible. And anything that contradicts, adds anything to, or takes anything away from the Word of God has to be rejected. In other news, Israel's planning for a strike against Iran. A high-level team from the Israel Defense Force has been appointed to come up with a plan to knock out Iran's nuclear sites. They're not waiting for a finalized agreement with the government of Iran. A source close to Israel's defense minister says that besides, their working assumption is that Iran is lying all the time. Here in the U.S., the most expensive fighter plane in our history gets an F from its test pilot. The $350 billion F-35 Joint Strike Fighter went up against the 1970s-era F-16 in a mock dogfight over the Pacific Ocean recently. According to the test pilot who flew the F-35, it's underpowered, too slow to hit an enemy plane or dodge gunfire. Now, the team behind the F-35, the Joint Program Office, says that the F-35 wasn't equipped with sensors or software that would be deployed with it in a battlefield situation, nor did it have its coating of radar-deflecting paint. The F-35 has been delayed for years. It was supposed to go into service in 2012, currently on track to reach the battlefield by 2018 or 2020, and it's about $263 billion over budget. By the way, Israel and the United Kingdom both waiting on deliveries of the F-35 as well. In Syria, the Islamic State slaughters more Syrian soldiers. A new video shows teen recruits to the Islamic State executing a couple dozen Syrian soldiers in the ancient Roman amphitheater in the town of Palmyra. In Europe, Greek voters say no to the European Union. Voters rejected a bailout offered by the EU by an almost 2-to-1 margin over the weekend. The government encouraged a no vote, saying that the terms of the bailout offered were humiliating. Now, things are tough there. Reportedly, Greek banks are running out of money. 20 euro notes just about completely out of circulation. Withdrawals from banks limited to 50 euros per day. That's about $56. Now, economist Mike Shedlock points out that although the terms offered by the EU were draconian and would have kept Greece from ever getting out from underneath its debt load, the government there, a liberal, almost socialist government, is probably not likely to do the things necessary to get Greece free from its debt burden, reducing the number of government employees, instituting free market reforms, implementing a fair, flat tax system. But even so, the voters there rejected the terms extended by the rest of Europe. Now, what happens next? Whatever happens there will likely affect what happens here in North America. Greece may leave the European Union, could return to its own currency, but backed by what is the question. Greece could nationalize its central bank and start printing euros left and right, but that assumes that it has a supply of the official ink and paper required to do so. And the European Union could cut off supplies of the official ink and paper. It's a drama that's unfolding, and it's spreading elsewhere in Europe. A petition drive in Austria is now going to force the government in Austria to hold a referendum on whether or not Austria should remain part of the European Union. We may be watching the breakup of a state that was originally thought to be the dragon, the beast, upon which the woman in scarlet rode. Over the weekend, Financial Times, by the way, reported that Greek banks were considering a bail-in proposal, recapitalizing their depleted reserves by confiscating 30% of all deposits over 8,000 euros. Now, the government of Greece insures all deposits up to 100,000 euros, similar to the FDIC here in the U.S. So it's not clear that this plan could even be implemented, much less work. And we need to remember that Financial Times is closely tied to the status quo. It's a very influential economics newspaper with an interest in preserving the European Union. So it's possible this story of the bail-in was floated to scare Greek voters into voting the right way. Now, there was a bail-in on the island of Cyprus in 2013, and what happened was a failing bank bailed in by confiscating unsecured deposits while protecting secured depositors. And what that meant was government entities and big European banks got their money out of the failing bank, whereas people with money on deposit in the bank took a haircut, which is slang for meaning didn't get all their money back. Now, what is the lesson of Greece for us? The lesson of Cyprus for us? Our bank deposits are essentially unsecured loans that we have made to the banks. A bail-in is a bank telling its depositors it won't get all of their money back. It would be sold to us taxpayers as a preferable option to another bank bailout. After all, why should taxpayers take the fall for the banks making bad loans? That's a very good question, one that a majority of us Americans were asking in 2007 and 2008, a question our representatives in Congress ignored when they gave $700 billion through the TARP program to bankers against our wishes because we were told those banks were too big to fail. A bail-in would be spun as a better alternative because taxpayers wouldn't be put on the hook for the bankers. Of course, this means that only a few taxpayers, the poor schlubs with money in the failing bank, would be on the hook for the bank's losses. Which begs the question, why do any of us make unsecured loans to banks for the lousy rates of interest that they pay? The average rate of interest on a passbook savings account as of today is about 1/10 of 1%. When we take out an unsecured loan from the bank, credit card, the average rate of interest we have to pay is 15 to 18%, and more if you are late on a payment or two. Won't FDIC insurance protect our savings? Well, maybe, but they don't have enough money to bail out all the creditors in the event of a total economic meltdown. Look at this chart from 2013. You can see on the left, the column representing the FDIC reserves is much smaller than the middle column, which is the number of deposits on loan to banking institutions in the FDIC. And that's even dwarfed by the third column, the one on the right, which shows the exposure of financial institutions to potential losses through banks gambling on complicated financial derivatives. That number of the column on the right, the financial derivatives, $297.5 trillion. Just to give you an idea of how much money that is, that's roughly 4 times greater than the combined gross domestic product of every nation on earth. There's not enough money to save the system if that house of cards begins to collapse. Now, please understand, I'm not recommending that you take your money out of the bank. Sharon and I use a bank, and we will continue to do so. Just recommending caution and maybe a little less blind faith that the government will save us if things really get bad. A little more faith in him, a little less in the government. Finally, what was this cube-shaped thing that appeared in the sky over El Paso last week? A couple of witnesses in Texas caught these images of what appeared to be something just manifesting in midair, perhaps out of a portal. These are the best photos we were able to find, but we do have this artist's representation of the mysterious object. And in case that's not familiar to you, that's a reference to Doctor Who, the long-running BBC science fiction program. But again, the reason stories like this make major media is because the meme must be continued. We must accept and believe that we are not alone. And of course, here at SkyWatch TV, we agree we are not alone. It's just that the entities are not what the UFO faithful think they are. We appreciate your support here at SkyWatch TV because we address issues like this that we feel are very important. Again, thousands of people in Roswell, New Mexico this weekend looking for answers to the big questions, life, the universe, and everything, and trying to find God, the answer to those questions, inside the cockpit of an unidentified flying object. Your support helps us, prayerful and financial, and for your gift this month, during the month of July, of $10 or more, we'll send you a book that's very timely, especially in the wake of the same-sex marriage ruling by the Supreme Court. Dr. Gary Smalley's book, I Promise, How 5 Commitments Determine the Destiny of Your Marriage. Strengthen your marriage in a culture that is trying to tear it apart. Our gift to you for your gift of $10 or more this month to SkyWatch TV. And instructions on how to donate are posted online at skywatchtv.com. Part 3 of the fascinating conversation about the ancient technology and dark purposes of Nimrod in the plains of Shinar will air on SkyWatch TV tomorrow night. That's on the Christian Television Network at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, UTC -5, as Dr. Michael Lake concludes his 3-part interview with Tom Horn about his book, The Shinar Directive, Preparing the Way for the Son of Perdition. SkyWatch TV airs on the Christian Television Network, that's DirecTV Channel 376, Dish Network Channel 267, Glory Star Satellite Channel 117, and of course it streams live at ctnonline.com, the website of the Christian Television Network. And if you miss it live, you can watch it later this week. It'll be posted to our SkyWatch TV Roku channel on Wednesday morning. If you have a Roku account, log in, search the Roku channel store for SkyWatch TV, and add us to your account. Of course, we also have instructions on how to add us to your Roku account at skywatchtv.com/Roku. We do appreciate your feedback, questions, comments, suggestions. Please email them to me, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. We thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.